broadcast, and that when we refuse to respond to their requests for a conversation on this, that is when they cancel the shows. Absolutely untrue. They canceled the broadcast on their stations and then announced that they were going to do a documentary on the subject and asked me if I would appear on the documentary. And the notion that I'm going to appear on a documentary that's substituting for the reading of the 721 names of the dead Americans struck me as so bizarre that I said no. To question my patriotism, there is one thing that I find totally, really upsetting, I must say, about the whole controversy thus far, and that is that no one has seen it yet. If people want to look at this broadcast and afterwards say, that was just an outrageous anti-military, anti-war broadcast, fine. Then at least people are judging it on the basis of what we've done.
So is Ted Koppel just being compassionate, or could the show be making a political statement? Joining us now is CNN founder Reese Schoenfeld is with us. Welcome, Reese. Good to see you again. Thanks for being with us. All right. Do you think something like this could lessen the support for our troops in Iraq?
No.
Do you think there's a political agenda at work here?
I'm not going to, I don't read minds. I don't know. I just know what he's going to do. And if he's going to read the names of all those people on the air, which is what he says, and show pictures, well, it ain't my kind of news. It wouldn't have happened on CNN. It's pure play for the emotions. But the same thing, suppose you guys on Fox decided you were going to do a full hour and you were going to read the names of all those guys on a Sunday afternoon, and somebody said, these are the men who have fought for terror for us, against terror for us, given their lives to bring freedom and peace and democracy to a hard part of the world, and we are going to say this to honor their names, and then you play the battle hymn of the Republic all the way through, you'd have half the people in the audience getting up ready to enlist. But if you play it the other way, these are the men whose lives we have lost, and in this sad time, let us bring you their names, and you play battle hymn of the Republic, but you use Shelley Mann's flute version. Everybody's crying. It's propaganda.
That is a great observation. I like the New York Post take on this. They said there's nothing inherently wrong with doing this, and they said, done right, it could serve as a moving tribute, as you just pointed out here. Where eyebrows have been raised is the comments in the New York Times by the producer of Nightline, Leroy Sievers, who said to the Times that the inspiration came from the 1969 issue of Life magazine, which presented the photos of men killed one single week in Vietnam, and that served as a crystallizing moment in motivating opposition towards that war. He's using that as a connection, so people have made the leap that this is happening here.
Yeah, but he made that statement after when he was questioned about it. Yeah. Sievers should just learn to keep his mouth shut. That's the first rule.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to. I think one point that Ted Koppel made on the program today is let's take a look at it. I think that's a fair point on his side. I did ask him this question though. I said, why now? And I said, why not the names of the 3,000 that were killed in the Trade Center, or the names of the victims in terror attacks, or why not other military conflicts? And they never did it there. Should we read anything into that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they got 3,000 names. They were all read on live television on all the networks, and it was. The big problem with this is
why not the Balkans? Why not past conflicts?
Absolutely. I think certainly the names of the dozen guys who were killed in Somalia and dragged through the streets, those names should have been read and may have been. They may have been at the time. This is different. It's 700 names. It's a manageable number of names for a half-hour show, 40-minute show. Fits for broadcasting. But I said it in the beginning. It's a pure play to the emotions, no matter who does it.
You use the word, Mr. Schoenfeld, propaganda. You think that's what this is?
Well, it can be propaganda. That's what you could make it into propaganda very easily. Right. And I don't think it offers enough information to anybody to merit the kind of use that they're giving it.
Don't you think people would judge this based on where they stand politically?
Absolutely.
Those who are already for the war are going to say, well, maybe they're, if they really support President Bush, they may be a little paranoid right now about how it's going and say, look what they're doing. And those on the other side will see it totally 180 degrees apart.
Absolutely. There's no objectivity. It's always a two-way street, what you see and what they send.
And they're saying, ABC has said, they're basing this not only on what Sean mentioned, but on the president himself, who said it's important to honor the sacrifice of those who died. And they feel that's what they're doing.
Well, I'm sure it's exactly what you said. People who sympathize with or are for the war are going to say this is an anti-war statement, and people who are against the war, at least have grave doubts about it, are going to say, what are they doing? It's sympathy. They're going to cry. But there's no win on this situation. If you had run it on Fox, the liberal press would have said you're pandering to patriotism. Look at these guys starting war.
It depends on the source.
It depends on the source and the viewer.
What do you make of Sinclair Broadcasting deciding not to run it?
No way. If they're a Fox affiliate and they haven't seen it, they've got no right not to run it.
Right. They're an ABC affiliate.
ABC affiliate. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I mean, you think they're making a mistake.
Major mistake.
Doesn't an individual station have the right to say, look, I don't like the content of this show. We reserve the right not to run a show that we carry if we don't like what they're doing on any given night?
Absolutely, but they got to see the show first. Yeah. They can't just say, there was a station in down south.
They know what it is.
Well, but they don't know what it is really. Neither.
Brett Purcell, who's with the Media Research Center, a conservative group, says if you don't say what they're dying for, it's anti-war propaganda. And I guess he's getting ready to say, unless it's framed the proper way, who knows what he may say afterwards. And they're a well-known conservative media watchdog group. Who knows what he'll say afterwards?
I think I just said the same thing here at the beginning.
Right. So you agree with that?
If you put it in the right frame, it's what you're saying about these people. You're not weeping. You weep for the soldiers, but you don't weep for the war.
Right. If all he does is just say, here are the soldiers, and show pictures, and that's it. That's very stark, very minimalist. If that's all it is, what is that? Well, must there be a greater context? And how do you put that in the context?
I think on a television program that isn't propaganda, you've got to put it in some kind of we're all professionals here. We know what kind of effect that has. Rolling 300 and 750 names and telling their names, and you've got to talk about why they're there and what they're doing.
You say that clearly it's an information program that's doing something emotional, but must a show always be so predictable that you always know what you're going to get on a night-to-night basis?
I want to be surprised about the information every week, but I don't want to have them pulling a tearjerker on me.
Last question. Do you think Ted Koppel's a fair journalist? Real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Reese, good to see you again. Thank you for being with us. And coming up next, AWOL in Canada. U.S. soldiers refuse to fight in Iraq and head north where they're treated like rock stars. You won't believe this one. Heather Nauer will have a special report for Hannity and Colmes. And then Iraqi prisoners alleged to be abused by U.S. soldiers, and the pictures are front-page news all over the world. So how did this happen? What happened? Will there be a backlash? And what's the president's reaction? All coming up.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Derry Alexander. The head of CENTCOM asking Muslim countries to help out in the war on terror. U.S. General John Abizaid says we have enough American troops in Iraq, but countries like Morocco, Pakistan, and Tunisia could really help stabilize the country after the handover. Abizaid also says the key to progress is getting more Iraqis involved in the defense of their country. Michael Jackson pleads not guilty in a California courtroom today. A grand jury indicted the singer on charges including child molestation, abduction, and extortion, as well as lewd acts involving a minor and giving an intoxicating agent to a child. When he left the courthouse, Jackson thanked his supporters.
I would like to thank the fans around the world for your love and your support from every corner of the earth. My family, who's been very supportive, my brother Randy, who's been incredible.
A hearing is set for May 28th. A trial date has not been scheduled. A New Jersey jury says Jason Williams is guilty of the cover-up but not the crime. The former NBA star has been found not guilty of manslaughter in the shooting death of his limo driver, but he was convicted on 4 lesser charges, including evidence tampering and trying to make it look like a suicide. Williams could get 13 years in prison. More headlines at the bottom of the hour, but in the meantime, Hannity and Colmes continues right after the break. Stay tuned. You're watching the most powerful name in news, Fox.
If you ran an oil company, what would it be like?
Well, the lobby would be fabulous. Let's see. I don't think that I would keep it to just oil. I think that I would be an energy company and be really looking at all different sources of energy.
So do you know what I said?
To the bank guy?
Yeah. I said I wanted free checking with no minimum balance, plus free online bill paying. Plus, I want lots of your ATMs so we don't have to worry about those fees. Because I don't think we should have to pay for any of it. And you know what he said?
Goodbye.
He said, we don't think you should pay for it either.
Oh.
Free checking with no minimum balance. Plus, plus, plus. From Bank of America. Higher standards.
You depend on your car for so much. So why not depend on the people who know it best? To keep it running stronger, performing better, to keep it genuine. With genuine Ford and Lincoln Mercury parts and service. Our factory-trained technicians know exactly what your car needs and when, all at a price you'll like. Right now, when you buy 3 tires, you get the 4th one free. Keep it genuine. Only at Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealerships. Genuine parts, genuine service, genuine peace of mind.
More than a magazine.
Later on the show, Iraqi POWs are physically abused by American troops. The pictures are disturbing. How should they be punished? First, Canada. Hundreds of American soldiers have gone AWOL, and some of them have fled north to Canada to avoid the war in Iraq. And you're not going to believe the warm welcome they're getting. Heather Noward's here with us. It's an incredible story.
Absolutely, it sure is. Well, as thousands of soldiers from the 82nd Airborne and 1st Cavalry Divisions fight in Iraq, 2 of their comrades flee to Canada to avoid going to war. Private Jeremy Hintzman was the first to leave, was the first to run to Canada, leaving his unit in January shortly after receiving his deployment order. And Private Brandon Huey left for Canada the night before his unit deployed. Both are being hailed as heroes in Canada for refusing to fight, and now they're seeking asylum there. But here in the U.S., they're considered deserters and could face 5 years in jail.
The nature of my claim is I had just, through my training, found the whole aspect of killing repulsive.
Now, they're on the lam, yet the soldiers aren't exactly in hiding. They have websites, a publicist, speak at big anti-war rallies, and have raised thousands of dollars online for their legal defense. Canadian journalist Roddy Adamson says despite Canada's warm embrace, these shirkers should face the consequences.
Personally, I think it's appalling. I think that their behavior, their decision to come here makes it very hard to believe that they're sincere. I mean, if they really believe that the war is immoral and illegal, I think they should go back to the United States and stand up for that.
But they're staying in Canada for now, and Hintzman's attorney is asking Canada to grant them a permanent stay.
Well, he's making an application for refugee status, and we also expect that we are going to see if there's any interest in granting him a permanent residence here on humanitarian and compassionate basis.
I think that it's particularly insulting when you consider the number of people who come here as true refugees, who truly have nothing, who truly have to leave everything behind, and really aren't fortunate enough to be able to have their parents phone them or visit them or most likely wire them money.
Now, the army that they chose not to be a part of continues to fight overseas. Hintzman's regiment lost 7 soldiers in Iraq, while 16 of Huey's were killed in action. Some of their fellow soldiers say that these guys are cowards. Now, we spoke with a spokeswoman from the 82nd Airborne, and she says, "We are saddened that it couldn't be worked out another way, that Private Hintzman took this matter into his own hands. He is no longer in the military. His status is deserter, and the military does not go looking around for soldiers who are AWOL." Now, the Army says they won't hunt them down, but it has given their names to U.S. law enforcement. Deserters can be detained once they return back to the United States and then are subject to military law.
Sorry, didn't one of them say he was amazed to find out he was being taught to kill?
Absolutely.
I mean, you go into the Army, they wanted to get an education, which is why they went in, but you have to realize what the military does, right?
That's right. Well, in fact, one of them, Hintzman, he's the one we had video of, so we showed that. But he, in fact, had fought in Afghanistan and had applied for conscientious objector status. That was denied in Afghanistan, and he decided, enough, I don't want to go to war, therefore I'm going to just run.
Has Canada reacted to this at all? Have they taken a stand on any of this?
Well, they do have a hearing in it's called their refugee court or something like that. So we haven't had any official statements from the Canadian government, but the hearing for these two men will take place later in May.
Heather, do they believe that at some point there'll be a shift in opinion, time will pass, and they'll get back in and be welcomed with open arms?
Just like happened in Vietnam. You know what? I don't get the sense that these guys even care. I think they miss their families, but they're happy living it out in Canada. For example, one of them said, we have a great social system here in Canada. We might as well stick with it.
Unbelievable.
Hey, Heather, thank you very much for being here, and I appreciate it. You can watch Heather Nauert's reports weekdays on The Big Story, hosted by John Gibson. Coming up, disturbing pictures of Iraqi POWs being abused by Americans. Is it just an isolated incident? And then the Rush Limbaugh case, are prosecutors playing partisan politics? That's coming up on Hannity and Colmes.
Your world, Fox News.
Recently, Dodge Ram was pitted against 4 different full-size competitors. An independent company ran each through a battery of tests, and every time, the truck that out-towed, out-hauled, and flat-out outperformed the competition was the Hemi-powered Dodge Ram. Kind of makes you realize why Ram commands respect from every driver, especially ones that count on performance.
Sweet!
0% financing or $3,500 in combined cash allowances plus a great warranty gets you the best values in America.
The process established in Clause 1
pertaining to Addendum B shall include
the aforementioned dissemination of information
to eligible beneficiaries,
changing the computation of incurred costs
with at least actuarially equivalent benefits
if it is not impracticable.
Impracticable.
Of course, it's very clear. Who wrote this?
The new Medicare prescription drug benefit is worth understanding.
What?
Call AARP for a free brochure that explains it in plain English.
Our son was born with liver disease. He had heart surgery when he was 3 months old, and he had his liver transplant when he was 7 months old. It's nice to know that I work for a company that would take care of everything we went through with my son. You can think of the Mayo Clinic, you know. It's the best place they could have found. I don't think people know how great the benefits are at Walmart. Without Walmart, he wouldn't. I don't know that he'd made it. I don't know that we would have made it.
There are swarms of them, and they're everywhere you go. Wi-Fi internet service for your laptop or PDA. T-Mobile, get more.
Nobody knows this neighborhood better than Wendy Owens of Prudential Real Estate. Wendy's great with technology, and she's the best there is at bringing buyers and sellers together.
I've agreed to an early closing.
Professionals like Wendy Owens are why you choose Prudential Real Estate.
Why does the Taxpayers Association of Oregon endorse Golia Mary for Congress? Golia Mary helped lead the fight to defeat the $1.1 billion tax increase. And Golia Mary's economic plan will reduce taxes on families, reprioritize spending, and revitalize Oregon's economy. Golia Mary, endorsed by the Taxpayers Association of Oregon, because they trust her, and so can you.
I'm Golia Mary, and I authorize this message.
Take control of your TV. Comcast Digital Cable with On-Demand and Stars gives you tons of exciting on-demand movies and shows to start whenever you want. Upgrade to Digital Cable now and get Stars free for 3 months. Get tons of new networks like ESPN News, the Science Channel, and more. And with your Stars subscription, Stars On Demand is free. Over 100 hit movies a month are yours to pause, fast forward, or rewind at any time. Call 1-888-YOUR-TV1 to upgrade to Comcast Digital Cable with On-Demand and get Stars free for 3 months plus free installation.
Also coming up tonight, the Rush Limbaugh case. Are prosecutors politically motivated? We have new information and an update tonight. But first, the pictures are ugly. Iraqi POWs being abused by Americans in a U.S.-run prison near Baghdad. Now, 6 American soldiers have been charged with crimes. The images have made the front page of newspapers all across the world. Earlier today, the president expressed his outrage.
Those few people who did that do not reflect the nature of the men and women we sent overseas. That's not the way the people are. It's not their character that are serving that are serving our nation and the cause of freedom. And there will be an investigation and things they'll be taken care of.
So is there any excuse for this kind of behavior? With us now, Tony Robinson, former Army sergeant and a former interrogation instructor. All right, Tony, pictures are brutal. Disappointing, because it's like in the case to me, if there's one bad cop, then it affects or it impacts the entire department and police officers in general. All these guys that have done such a great job, the actions of a couple could hurt their reputation.
Of course they do, and they have. Was this not the first running story on Al Jazeera today?
Yeah.
I believe it was. I mean, that has a huge impact.
Yeah. I'm not making excuses for what we see here, because it's clearly wrong, but there'll be an investigation, there'll be a trial, and I think justice will be served ultimately here. Let me ask you this. Is it wrong? Because most of 98% of the American people will never serve. And so, in other words, we're not in that situation where we're there in a war zone. And I didn't judge, for example, John Kerry when he admitted that he had violated the Geneva Convention and committed war crimes, by his own words. If some of these guys witnessed their friends being murdered and maimed and shot and crippled, would they want to extract revenge in some way? Would that excuse what we see in these images?
I don't think there's any excuse for it. I mean, if indeed they have a desire to win over there, and I believe they should, this is definitely not the way to do it. It only hardens their will to fight.
Yeah.
That means people that he doesn't know are going to die.
Well, I guess the one that we saw was this one guy with the cloak over his head and had the wires tied to him, and he's standing on a box. I guess he's told that if he falls off the box, he'll be electrocuted. There are certain interrogation techniques that are routinely used to break people. Do you know those techniques, even though you wouldn't use them? Do you know what they are? And can you explain them to us?
I do, and I'd prefer not to explain them.
Why?
Let me tell you why. I thought you might ask that. Because if I do, they'll end up in a training manual for our enemies. Why would I give them that capability?
You know exactly what techniques, if you wanted to break a man, you could do it in what period of time?
Well, it depends on the man, I guarantee you. In fact, the people that have really good information will hold out longer than those who have nothing really to hide, if you know what I mean.
Well, let me ask you this. Would it be morally wrong to break Saddam himself? Would it be morally wrong if you capture somebody like Adolf Hitler? And would that be morally wrong to break these guys to find out, in the case of Saddam, where are the weapons of mass destruction, sir? If you're not going to tell us, we'll make you tell us.
Sure. Well, one thing that needs to be understood is that there is also an impact on the torturer. I mean, this is not a long-term job. Now, I use the word torture, but that's not what's happening in these pictures.
What is it?
I've seen worse than this. Frat hazing is worse than this.
So in other words, this is not a big deal. What should the punishment be if these guys, in fact, are found guilty of
whatever's going on over there?
Whatever's going on.
Well, it's not torture. If it was, they'd be accused of torture. They're accused of maltreatment. I'm not making excuses.
But you wouldn't call this torture, Sergeant. This is Alan Colmes. Welcome to the show. You wouldn't call this torture?
Well, torture, typically, I really don't want to go into some of the ways that people are tortured, but I mean, maimings, cutting off of appendages, blindings, chemical acid baths are another good example.
Some of the allegations
These
here are
happening.
having the soldiers forced to lie in a pyramid of naked detainees, is what the phrase that was used, jumping on their prone bodies, some ordered to strip and simulate or actually perform sex acts.
Yeah, this is so. I understand. I'm not making excuses for them, but under the Geneva Conventions, what we're talking about here, if there was a war crime, they would have been accused of that, and they're not. They're keeping the judicial punishment inside the umbrella of the military. They're bringing them up under court-martial.
Is there a chain of command that should have been in the loop here and been aware of what's going on and acted on this?
Oh, I think the chain of command is the problem. If people had known that this would not only impact the strategic concerns of America over there, but also international concerns. I mean, it hardens their will to fight, and it also, if there was someone over there that was skilled, I think that's what the issue was. They had reservists, I believe. I don't think they had, well, they've declared they didn't have training. Plus, the chain of command should have known and put a stop to this. Well, all officers are given this training.
One of the, apparently, the person running the prison, Brigadier General Janice Korpinski, they're saying that she could lose her command, she could be blocked from promotion, get her letter of reprimand, but nothing about criminal charges. being filed. Should there be?
I think it's a mistake not to do something quickly. I don't think that relieving of command is going to sate any of the killing rage that exists because of this action.
What
for
should
those
happen?
that might watch Al Jazeera. Wow, that's a good question. I think it should go beyond what they're talking, a letter of reprimand. Wow. I mean, there's going to be repercussions of this to troops on the ground facing armed opponents.
Shouldn't somebody involved in this, if there's a person in the chain of command who knew about this or sanctioned it, be dismissed?
Of course. Now, you got to understand, a court-martial, if they're convicted, is a felony conviction. They're out of the Army and they're felons.
What about allegations that private contractors allegedly are being used to interrogate detainees? Have you heard that?
I have heard that. When you say private contractors, are you talking about CIA? People brought over there, civilians
People who are doing
this?
civilian work there, contractors being used to interrogate.
Yeah, well, once the prisoners become under the authority of the MPs, these people that did some of this poor behavior, they're responsible for maintaining the Geneva Conventions.
Got to run. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate your time. And coming up next, the case against radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh. Is he being unfairly targeted? We have new information in the case. And then Michael Jackson says he didn't do it. He was indicted on 10 charges today, including child molestation. Will he beat the rap?
It's our biggest Sienna ever. 3 rows, 8 seats, bring the whole team. Or you can have a whole row to yourself. Got a sister? Yeah. Won't even know she's there. DVD? Personal headphones. It's got 60% more cargo space. Wow, it's really huge. Huge! And it's got a 230 horsepower V6. What's that? I'm not sure.
The Toyota Sienna. It has everything kids want and everything you need.
Scan, share, print, and manage ideas. Whenever inspiration hits you. How well do you share? Rico.
What happened? I think she saw the price tag. Still paying department store prices for clothing? Wake up! You can get the same famous labels for way less at the Burlington Coat Factory pre-summer savings event. This season's hottest designer men's and women's sportswear for up to 60% off. Because the biggest fashion mistake is paying department store prices. The pre-summer savings event at Burlington Coat Factory, where saving is always in style.
I'm George W. Bush, and I approve this message.
As our troops defend America in the war on terror, they must have what it takes to win. Yet John Kerry has repeatedly opposed weapons vital to winning the war on terror. Bradley fighting vehicles, Patriot missiles, B-2 stealth bombers, F-18 fighter jets, and more. Kerry even voted against body armor for our troops on the front line of the war on terror. John Kerry's record on national security? Troubling.
Saturday, it's a special night of programming, executing strategic military strikes and battling fierce guerrilla warfare as U.S. forces pound insurgents across the deadliest regions in Iraq. Rita has the latest developments on the big story. Then, it's live coverage of President Bush's speech from our nation's capital. Saturday, stay with Fox News Channel, America's newsroom. Saturday, gas prices soaring nationwide. Find out what's really fueling higher costs at the pump from Energy Secretary Spencer Abraham on After Hours with Cal Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Derry Alexander. A historic day for the European Union, welcoming 10 new members tonight. Celebrations broke out across Eastern Europe to commemorate the organization's biggest expansion in its 47-year history. It's now nearly doubled to 25 nations. Joining the group, 8 former communist countries, including the Czech Republic, Poland, and Hungary. A new tactic aimed at curbing violence in Fallujah, Iraqi forces are taking over some positions for American Marines. The coalition says the Marines are not completely pulling out, but instead working with Iraqis. This comes just as a car bombing on the outskirts kills 2 Marines, bringing April's death toll to 136. The governor of Connecticut could be one step closer to the unemployment line. A state legislative panel is asking lawyers to draft an article of impeachment for John Rowland. They say the governor is not cooperating in their investigation into his finances. Rowland is under fire for accepting gifts from friends, employees, and state contractors. And thousands of Winn-Dixie workers could be out of a job. The supermarket chain says it plans to close 45 stores and sell 111 others. If there are no buyers, Winn-Dixie says it will be forced to close the stores and cut 10,000 jobs. More headlines just after the top of the hour. Meantime, Hannity and Colmes continues right now. Stay tuned. You're watching Fox.
Coming up later tonight, Michael Jackson pleaded not guilty to 10 charges today. How strong is the case against him? First, is Rush Limbaugh being unfairly targeted by prosecutors in Florida? The conservative talk show host is under investigation after admitting an addiction to prescription painkillers. But is the case really about politics? With us, Sam Dealey, who's been covering the story for the American Spectator magazine. Sam, welcome. Interesting piece you wrote. Did you think Rush Limbaugh committed a crime?
Rush Limbaugh certainly did commit a crime. The issue is in how prosecutors typically deal in prosecuting such a crime.
So what you're saying, these crimes get committed, but he is getting different treatment than other people who've committed similar crimes. And
that appears to be the case.
And
yes,
what specifically, how specifically is he being treated differently than others in similar circumstances?
Well, prosecutors tend to treat those who are addicted to prescription drug medicine from a legitimate illness different than those who are your typical cokehead or PCP user. They are typically viewed as victims rather than abusers, and after they're asked to check into a rehab clinic, and the state wishes them well, and hopefully they recover.
So he's being singled out in your view. Roy Black, his attorney, you say in your piece, got assurances from West Palm Beach attorney Barry Kircher that Rush would not be prosecuted.
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Is that kosher to make that kind of a deal?
Well, it seems that the West Palm Beach Attorney's Office knew about this case for about 10 months. They knew they had everything against Rush that they had, and they kept insisting to both Roy Black, Rush's attorney, and Rush himself that they were not going to prosecute this case. Once the case became public, shortly about a week and a half afterwards, they then decided that this would be something they would go gung-ho after. The only thing that changed in that time period was, of course, the case becoming public, and a number of people writing in saying, go get the guy. We can't believe that you're letting him off the hook.
Does this case hinge on getting his medical records and how they were obtained? Is that really the crux of whether or not this can be legally pursued?
It does, because there are essentially two things against Rush. The first was the fact that he was buying these prescription drugs illegally from his former housemaid and her husband. They were essentially the drug dealers, the drug peddlers, and would buy them from them. But as witnesses, they are absolutely terrible, and it doesn't look like the prosecutors could rely on.
One of the husband, I think, had previous convictions, criminal record.
Yes, all sorts of drug
possession. She sold her story to the Inquirer. Yeah,
right, exactly. So the prosecutors instead have hinged upon this idea of doctor shopping, which is in Florida going to a number of doctors within a month's period, ostensibly for medical reasons, but really to get just multiple prescriptions of drugs. And that's a new statute in Florida and has never actually been prosecuted before. So Rush appears to be the guinea pig in that situation.
Hey, Sam, welcome to the program. Thanks for being with us. One of the things I liked about your piece is the fact that this, as far as I can tell, is the first investigative, in-depth analysis into this case. I can't think of another one. Am I right in that? Because you've been researching it.
I believe it is.
Yeah. Based on your analysis of this, and clearly you've done a lot of research, is this politically motivated, this case?
That's difficult to say. Certainly, West Palm Beach is not a conservative bastion. It's not Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Likewise, Krischer is an elected Democratic official, and he is in an election year. And certainly, prosecutors from Florida have gone on to bigger and better things by landing big fish and prosecuting big cases. Look at Janet Reno. It must be said, however, that many in his team are Republicans. I think more to the point, it simply shows that Krischer is a very aggressive prosecutor.
Well, okay, but then this is only the second case ever that they brought here. He gave assurances to Roy Black, in fact, that this was not going to happen, so he basically stabbed him in the back. And I think it's evidenced by the fact that he waited 10 months, and we've got to analyze why and if he is treating Rush Limbaugh differently than anybody else. I mean, if you look at all the high-profile athletes and actors and actresses, Charlie Sheen, Robert Downey, Brett Favre, and the way all other stars are treated, nobody gets this treatment. Am I wrong in that analysis?
You're absolutely correct. And I just mean to say that I think that it's more of a passive political agenda here. It's not. I think that Krischer is simply in an environment which is very much out to get Rush.
You don't believe that, or you do believe that?
I do believe that.
Of course he is. It's obvious he's trying to do that.
Take a quick break. More with Sam in just a few minutes. Now we go to Washington. Greta Van Susteren standing by to look at what's coming up right after Hannity and Colmes. Greta.
Alan, we're going to do what everyone else is going to do. Talk about that amazing case. Michael Jackson is going to trial. We have our legal panel here, and they're on fire. Back to you.
Be sure to watch On the Record coming up right after Hannity and Colmes. More on the case against Rush Limbaugh in just a moment. Later, Michael Jackson was indicted on child sex charges today, and there were a few surprises in the indictment. What will his defense be? We'll get into that coming up as well on Hannity and Colmes.
Can inspiration be comfortable? Can you navigate the world with ease? Yes. Does the most passenger room in its class make a difference? Yes. Can a Boston Acoustics sound system create harmony? In a word, absolutely. The totally new Chrysler 300, starting at $23,595. Chrysler. Inspiration comes standard.
4, 5, 6, 7, 10.
Ready or not, here I come.
Hey.
Aha!
Orbitz makes it easy to find your Orlando vacation. Now you can find your flight, rental car, and hotel. All you have to do is Orbitz and go.
This year, he'll spend 32 hours trimming bushes, 61 hours mowing the lawn, 52 hours watering flowers. But he won't have to refinish his deck for another 4 years. Behr Premium Weatherproofing Wood Sealer and Finish with silicone. 4-year protection against rain, sun, wind, and snow, guaranteed. Behr. Get it right every time.
Before Tiger.
Why do you play golf?
Before Nicholas.
Because I love it.
Before Palmer. There was Bobby Jones. Bobby Jones, Stroke of Genius. Rated PG. Starts today at theaters everywhere.
Okay, just read the chart.
There it is again!
Want to refinance your mortgage and cash out equity? Get a $395 flat fee home loan from Ditech.com.
Lost another one to Ditech.
Call 1-800-DITECH-1.
Also coming up tonight, Michael Jackson says he's not guilty of child sex charges. The pop star is in a world of trouble. We'll tell you about the other surprising charges against him. Right now, we continue with the latest legal headaches for nationally syndicated radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh. It's Sam Dealey, who's with the American Spectator and did this big investigative report. All right, if Krischer is the guy and he's objective here and he really wants to crack down on doctor shopping, let's just say he's really motivated, why would, A, this be the only case? Apparently, it's a big problem in Palm Beach. Right. Why did he change his mind and double-cross Roy Black when he said that was not his motivation after 10 months? Wouldn't it the more obvious conclusion be that political heat from Democrats was brought to bear on him? Isn't that what's going on here?
I think you have to draw that conclusion because Rush is not the best test case for this kind of prosecution.
And is represented by a woman that has no credibility, a former maid who's married to a drug felon husband who sold her story to the tabloid, who was given immunity for that deal when Krishner's saying that his job is to go after the dealers. So They let the drug dealer go free and make all this money, and then they're going to go after the user, which he says he doesn't do.
Yeah, great strategy, huh?
Well, but there's more to this, too, that I think is evidence that they're singling out Rush Limbaugh. Is it not true that one of the deputies in his department leaked to the press? Because they have discussions all the time about settlements with prosecutors.
Yes.
Never are those discussions made public, except in the case of who? Rush Limbaugh. And it was leaked to the press. Private, confidential, lawyer-to-prosecutor discussions about a settlement, correct?
That's absolutely true. The prosecutor's office, they had a request from the media about any settlement talks that have been going on with Rush's attorneys. And the prosecutor's office decided, well, gee, you know, we'd like to get this out there, so let's go ahead and consult with the top ethicist for Florida on whether we can release this correspondence.
Right.
And the ethicist said, well, you know, listen, frankly, I think you ought to talk to the Florida bar on this.
Right.
Which they did. And the Florida bar said, this is a job for the judge. We're not going to tell you either way whether this is
proper or not. But they said publicly just the opposite. They told the press that they got the approval of the bar and the approval of this other group, correct?
That's exactly right.
And so they lied, and now these groups are angry because they're using them to justify what they didn't tell them to do. So isn't this all evidence together of a smear campaign? Isn't this a group of people that don't like the fact that Rush Limbaugh is a conservative and that they're treating him differently than they treat anybody else in a specific case like this, even though, as you rightly point out, because I think this is the only analysis I've seen where you actually laid out the legitimate medical conditions, including failed spinal surgery that Rush had, and he had legitimate use for prescription painkillers because he didn't want an operation that would go through the vocal cords in his throat. It seems like a witch hunt. I mean, I'm a conservative, so maybe you say, well, Hannity, you're biased. Am I biased, or am I right on the right track here?
Well, there were certainly several key instances where the prosecutors really went for the jugular and went and seemed to exceed what the normal practice is in pursuing these kinds of cases. So the fact that it is Rush Limbaugh and he's the first guinea pig in a case like this, you know, you can draw your own conclusions.
There's never been a case like this where the person was prosecuted in the way that's gone about in this case. That's never happened.
There was one person in Florida, and he died before it went to trial.
So they did go after somebody in a case like this. What about, there are tapes apparently, and you point this out in your piece in the American Spectator, tapes and emails of apparently Rush and this woman and her husband trying to make deals about delivering. Sure.
Alan, first things first. Rush was abusing prescription drugs. He has said as much on his radio program day in and day out. He was passing off scads of money for little blue babies in return to his house.
How damaging could those tapes and emails be?
Well, I assume that they're fairly damaging. I mean, from what we've seen in the press, they're unequivocal. So I mean, there's no question that Rush had an addiction problem.
I also understand a deal was offered that if he got additional treatment, if he pled guilty to one count, they would have given him probation, community service, and he basically wouldn't have had to do any time, and he turned that down.
Well, it would have been a third-degree felony, for starters, and secondly, Rush Limbaugh would have been the first person to be prosecuted for doctor shopping in the state of Florida.
An interesting angle in this, you also point out in the piece that Roy Black, Rush's attorney, got a call from a reporter telling Black that he knew about this, even though this was supposed to be secret, so somebody tipped him off.
Yes, that's true, and the reporter later identified, or in the course of the conversation, it became clear to Roy Black that the source of that was the spokesman for the West Palm Beach prosecutor's office.
Sam, I guess you really have done a great job exposing the absolute political agenda behind all this, I think, and I guess it even shows why the ACLU is supporting Rush in this particular case, because this is a political witch hunt, and it's unbelievable. Thank you for being with us. Appreciate your analysis. And coming up, a rough day for Michael Jackson. The pop star was indicted on child sex charges today. So what will his defense be?
the ML350 Special Edition, with features like elegant running boards, 17-inch alloy wheels, and a matte burl birch wood-trimmed interior.
Mom?
A package so perfect, you'll want to keep it that way. Value unlike any other.
If you wanted to create the ideal health drink, you'd want lots of vitamins, like the vitamin C you find in rutabagas. And thiamine. Can't beat liver. And for vitamin B6, Brussels sprouts. Plus minerals like potassium and magnesium. Or you could just drink a glass of Florida orange juice. Full of nutrients and antioxidants that may help fight heart disease. Drink Florida orange juice every day.
Why does the Taxpayers Association of Oregon endorse Golia Mary for Congress? Golia Mary helped lead the fight to defeat the $1.1 billion tax increase. And Golia Mary's economic plan will reduce taxes on families, reprioritize spending, and revitalize Oregon's economy. Golia Mary, endorsed by the Taxpayers Association of Oregon, because they trust her, and so can you.
I'm Golia Mary, and I authorize this message.
D.A. Davidson, financial advice you can trust.
You don't have to suffer. Premier Bathrooms brings freedom to your life.
My wife had a fear of falling in the bath.
Premier Bathrooms' custom bath and shower enclosures are easy to step into, feature sturdy hand grips and safety bars, secure locking mechanisms, and comfortable seats.
It feels so safe. That's what I like about it. Very, very happy I've got it.
Premier Bathrooms has meant freedom and safety to thousands of customers across Europe and North America. Call 1-888-567-6718.
Comcast Entire Factory presents Portland Wrestling. Catch all the non-stop, high-flying, hard-hitting Portland wrestling action 4 times a week on CW 14. Now available on demand. Call your grandmas and grandpas, your moms and dads, your sons and daughters. Tell them the House of Action is back. That's Portland Wrestling. Wrestling the way it should be.
I want to thank the community of Santa Maria. I want you to know that I love the community of Santa Maria very much. It's my community. I love the people. I will always love the people. My children were born in this community. My home is in this community. I will always love this community from the bottom of my heart. That's why I moved here.
A conservatively dressed Michael Jackson pled not guilty today to a 10-charge indictment, including child molestation. He also faces conspiracy to commit child abduction and extortion. For reaction, we turn to Fox News legal analyst Peter Johnson and defense attorney Mercedes Colmes. No dancing on top of the SUV, no moonwalk on top of a conservative dress, glasses.
Mesero is flexing his muscles.
Listening to his attorneys, maybe, for a change?
Absolutely. Wore the glasses, no ascot
well,
or
it sounds
tie.
like he's running for a school board. This is a criminal defendant.
Love my
He sounds
community.
Like, I like Santa Maria. I love you all. Vote for me in the upcoming school board election.
What about this issue now of conspiracy? Doesn't that mean there are other people involved in it? What does that say?
Very problematic.
This is a new charge, right?
There is, and they're unidentified co-conspirators. Obviously, what Snedden is going to do is he's going to go to these co-conspirators and say, if you can negotiate with us and then testify against Michael Jackson, and that's a huge downfall for Michael.
So what's going on? Do they find people who work for him probably, who are in on this or helped him do whatever they're alleging he did?
There have been press reports that there are at least 2 people who might have been involved with either abducting the child or members of the family or extorting them or threatening them not to testify.
So they charge these other people, they try to get them to turn on Michael Jackson and make a deal and then come up with evidence.
Yeah, and there's a press report on the Fox News website that the 2 people who have been named and who have retained New York defense lawyer Joseph Tacopina, no way they'll turn. I mean, we've heard that.
And you think that's what's going to happen? They'll turn?
Well, I don't know if they'll turn, but there's a tremendous amount of pressure. If you're suffering criminal liability and the prosecutor says to you, listen, Michael Jackson's not going to take care of you the rest of your life. What did Jackson do? You better tell us the truth, or are you going to jail?
Michael, we're going to have a big fight tonight because you're my friend. I don't want to have a big fight.
Thank you. I'm your friend. We're not going to have a big fight.
We're going to have a big fight tonight because I'm thinking you think this guy's innocent.
Well, I say let's just apply the same standard that you apply to Kobe Bryant.
No, I do
to this
apply
case.
that. I believe everyone's innocent until proven guilty, but I'm going to tell you something. I have my deep suspicions when a 40-plus-year-old man brags about sleeping in the same bed with teenage boys and talks about how charming it is when they share milk and cookies.
It's not the same as having sex, rubbing up against
Do you know
children.
any 40-year-old man that sleeps with teenage boys that's not his sons?
But if you look at the timing of these allegations, it's suspect. I mean, this child was in the arms of the law enforcement when he says these allegations took place.
Wait a minute. What 40-year-old man, after he had already been accused once of this and paid, according to reports, millions of dollars, sleeps with teenage boys?
No. It's absolutely no. You're correct. It's. I mean, the notion that the biggest superstar in the world, according to this indictment, drugs through alcohol a child, a 12-year-old cancer patient, in order to perform lewd and lascivious acts. That indictment, those accusations alone, coupled with what we know about what's going on, it's horrifying.
Peter, did you read the original from the last case, what the charges were?
Yes.
Did you read?
Yes, I did.
Did you read the specificity?
Yes, I did.
That this 12-year-old boy had laid out in that case?
But I also want to point out.
It could also be someone manipulating those facts, though.
You
Sean,
cannot. I don't believe anybody could make a 12-year-old speak in that fashion unless he had experienced something like that.
But we also have to look what happened in Bakersfield, California. A fellow was sentenced for 20 years in jail. He's going free based on charges that apparently were not true. Obviously, you don't believe, and I don't believe. We don't know whether Michael Jackson is guilty. Right?
I don't
we
know.
don't know.
You know something, though? Based on his history, I read the original indictment, the first case, with the charges. Apparently, according to reports, millions of dollars were paid in that particular case.
Sure.
Now, why would a man then put himself in the position of going on TV and admitting that it's charming, his words, not mine, charming that he sleeps and has cookies and plays music and lights fires with teenage boys?
He may lack judgment, but doesn't mean he has criminal intent, Sean. He lacks judgment. Clearly, he doesn't have someone say, let me put a reality check in this.
More on the other side of the break. You're watching the Network America Trust for Real Journalism, fair and balanced.
I'm Greta Van Susteren. Tonight, a desperate search for a toddler whose mother is threatening to kill her. Police are here to tell us how you can save this young life. Then a new charge dramatically raises the stakes for Michael Jackson, plus mudslinging with Mark Garrigus, and a surprising verdict in the Jason Williams case. But is he a free man just yet? A defense witness opens up the victim's autopsy. And later on O'Reilly, is Ted Koppel undermining the war by broadcasting pictures of U.S. soldiers killed in Iraq?
Sitting here or here? Mutual funds from the Hartford for people who are always thinking ahead. Ask your advisor.
So you're telling me we can get 8 million L-28s at 6 1/4, and by the 10th? It's covered. And we can move them all from South China to LA for distribution by the 1st of next month. Ocean freight, all set? And no customs hassles. None, right?
They'll be cleared. The supply chain experts at UPS will help you keep the promises you make.
Cross your heart?
Your supply chain synchronized. UPS. What can Brown do for you?
It can think for itself, strike fear in the hearts of hackers, and laugh in the face of disaster. It can transform itself, grow into whatever the future demands. Work virtually anywhere, and propel entire companies, industries, and economies forward. Can your network do this? It can if it's designed by the world's networking company. AT&T.
It's ant season. Terminix them with our exclusive Problem Solved guarantee. 1-800-TERMINIX.
Nobody knows this neighborhood better than Wendy Owens of Prudential Real Estate. Wendy's great with technology, and she's the best there is at bringing buyers and sellers together.
They've agreed to an early closing.
Professionals like Wendy Owens are why you choose Prudential Real Estate.
All right, as we continue on Hannity Colmes, I'm Sean Hannity. Mercedes, you're telling me in the break here you think he's innocent, and I'm getting my blood pressure is beginning to build.
I do, Sean. Look, if we look at this family, this mother made these allegations against JCPenney for money. It's not inconceivable that she could be doing the same in this case.
How does one get himself into the position all the time that he gets in trouble?
But it's not. Think about all the children that have contact with Michael Jackson. We don't have 3,000 cases against him. We have three random cases.
Yeah.
Wait, one in 90.
Wait a second.
On just a couple of months ago. It's not.
All right, I got to ask you guys a question about Jason Williams. We're going to have a big fight, but I'm bringing you both back. And when he's found guilty, which I suspect he may happen, of course he's innocent until proven guilty, but I'm going to bring you back. Jason Williams, aggravated assault, reckless. Explain the differences.
He walked away on the highest and most serious crime in terms of manslaughter.
Premeditated.
The jury was hung on the less serious crime with regard to manslaughter.
To cover up, found guilty.
He was charged and convicted of 4 other crimes in terms of tampering with evidence. And it's interesting. There's an analog to the Jackson case. There's a whole slew of those things that are not related to the actual crime that's charged here with lewd and lascivious acts, but these other incidental things that can carry as big a burden.
It's amazing what he's accused of. He supposedly took all his clothes off, gave them to an aide, said, "Get rid of these," ran out naked. First thing he said was, "Oh my God, my life is over." There's a dead guy there. He's that's his initial.
Well,
reaction.
the testimony was horrifying. He was allegedly taunting the victim.
Right.
Go get my shoe shine box out of one of these gangland movies. So I mean, it's a lawyer's.
But Mercedes, clearly it was an accident. I mean, he was playing with a gun. He was gunplay.
He was,
and that's what happened.
There was no intent to kill this man, and that's what the jury moved away from. There was a lot of compelling evidence that he cried. He goes, "Oh my gosh, what have I done?" And he knelt down by Chris
and just back to Jackson, just in terms
him.
of the record, I don't think at this point, Sean, Alan, we can say that we know that Michael Jackson is innocent. I think that's going
but I want to get to Jason
above and beyond the call of duty.
Hold on, Mercedes.
We know nothing about the evidence. And to say that he's innocent.
Hold on a second. Don't we know in the Jason Williams case that this was an accident? That he didn't purposely try to kill this person.
And
that he was playing with a gun. He was joking around. It wasn't an intent to kill.
Exactly.
Correct, Peter?
That's what the jury has found. A fair reading of the evidence and the testimony could lead you to another fair viewing of the evidence, although he was not charged.
But there was a plot that there was
with the top crime that he could have been charged with.
Will he do jail time?
I doubt it. This is his first offense. I doubt it.
What do you think, Peter?
I think there's a possibility. Some of the other legal beagles and experts are saying he's going to walk away from it, but there's a possibility that he could.
I agree with you. Yeah.
There's a possibility.
I don't believe the I'm more suspicious. This malfunctioned, the cover-up. All right.
And a payoff to the family on the civil case.
All right, that is all the time we have left this evening, and we hope you all have a good weekend. We check in now with Greta Van Susteren and find out what's coming up as she now goes on the record. Greta?
Yes, and I hope you guys also have a very good weekend. It's nice to be. This is a Fox News alert. 2 desperate searches are underway for missing children at this hour in California. Police are looking for this woman, Isabel Viramontes. She kidnapped her 18-month-old daughter after losing custody of the child. She has threatened to kill herself and the baby, and police fear she's on her way to Mexico. If you have any information on her whereabouts, please call the number on your screen. And in Louisiana, police are on the lookout for 14-year-old Kristen O'Connor. She disappeared yesterday afternoon. Kristen has a medical condition and must be located immediately. If you have seen Kristen, please call the number on your screen. In a moment, police will join us with late-breaking updates on both searches, but first, the child molestation case against Michael Jackson is mounting. The King of Pop pled not guilty to 10 felony counts, including child molestation and conspiracy. Hundreds of fans waited outside court for Jackson to make a statement.
I would like to thank the fans around the world for your love and your support from every corner of the earth. My family, who's been very supportive, my brother Randy, who's been incredible. I want to thank the community of Santa Maria. I want you to know that I love the community of Santa Maria very much. It's my community. I love the people. I will always love the people. My children were born in this community. My home is in this community. I will always love this community from the bottom of my heart. That's why I moved here.
Joining us once again is Chief Dan Macania of the Santa Maria Police Department. Welcome back, Chief.
Thank you. How are you doing tonight?
Very well. So I would say that it was uneventful, which is what you want from your perspective. No problems today with the crowd. Is that right, Chief?
None whatsoever. Everything went just as planned.
Chief, how many people showed up to support Michael Jackson? About?
There was about 400 people that actually showed up to support him.
You know, usually when you get a crowd like that, Chief, there's an arrest for disorderly or some problem, even littering. Did you have no arrests whatsoever today?
None whatsoever. There wasn't a single negative contact with any of my officers.
All right. Michael Jackson was due in court this morning and showed up 12 minutes early for his 8:30 arraignment. Prior to his arrival, were you like in contact, or you or the force in contact with Michael Jackson or someone in his car saying he was arriving so you could be ready for him?
We were in contact with his security team, so we knew where he was at and knew exactly when he was going to arrive. And he did arrive significantly early this time.
Chief, Nation of Islam protected Michael Jackson last time when he was in court in January. No Nation of Islam today. Does that make any difference to you? Who's there to protect him?
No, none whatsoever. We were set up to handle any situation that arose, and as it turned out, we had it well in hand, and even if they had showed up, we wouldn't have needed them. It worked out very well.
Why do you think, Chief, it worked so well for you? And last time when he was in court, it got in another jurisdiction, it was a little bit wilder. What was the trick this time?
The big thing, the big difference was the railing and stuff that we had to keep the spectators back out of the street, and also where we parked his vehicles where he could enter the court and exit without having to go through a lot of people. It made a huge difference. It was very seamless, and he actually did what his security people told him to do this time, and he stayed off the roof of his SUV.
All right. Of course, that's always good that you stay off the roof of your SUV. Chief, thank you very much. Probably talk to you at the end of May for the next court appearance. Before Michael Jackson stepped to the microphone today, his new lawyer spoke out and seemed to flatter the judge and take a shot at Jackson's former defense attorney, Mark Garrigus.
It's a great honor and privilege to appear in this courthouse before Judge Melville, who is an outstanding and fair and very decent judge. It is an honor and privilege to be in the wonderful community of Santa Maria, where wonderful people live, including people here with us. And I want to make clear what this case is about. This case is not about lawyers or anyone else becoming celebrities. This defense is going to be conducted with professionalism and dignity at all times. This case is about one thing only. It's about the dignity, the integrity, the decency, the honor, the charity, the innocence, and the complete vindication of a wonderful human being named Michael Jackson.
Our next two guests were inside court today. Joining us from Santa Maria is Associated Press Special Correspondent Linda Deutsch and Fox News legal editor Stan Goldman. Linda, as you take me to the courtroom this morning at 8:30 when he came through the door a few minutes later. What did you see?
Well, everybody was very nervous about what was going to happen. Michael came in with his legal team, marched to the table and sat down. He was conservatively dressed, a very, very nice outfit with a real tie, a red tie. And he was very subdued, but not nervous, it appeared. He seemed kind of loose. And then the charges were read, and he was subdued more. And they all went off for a few minutes and talked about them, came back. Tom Mesereau stood up and entered his innocent plea, and he was asked if that was his plea. And Michael actually didn't even speak, he just nodded his head. He was very still during the entire proceeding.
I mean, I hate to pass something so crass, but where's the umbrella? We keep seeing him with the umbrella outside. Did he bring this? I assume he took the umbrella down and did he carry that in the courtroom with him?
No umbrella in the courtroom, no dancing on the car, no spectacle whatsoever. And his mother was there, and his father was there, and his brothers, and it was, I think that the emphasis was on decorum.
All right, Stan, one of the things that happens at arraignments is you can make a demand for a speedy trial. Number one is, what's the speedy trial statute in California? Number two, did he demand a speedy trial?
Well, you'll be happy to know the speedy trial statute in California is very fast. It's 60 days from the time of this arraignment. Did he demand one? Far from it. When asked about a waiver, his lawyer suggested that, yes, we should waive time, he thought, into February, which stunned the judge, who had thought he could start this trial this year. Apparently, Mr. Mesereau wants a little more time to get together in this case. So he's looking more of a trial date, perhaps come spring or summer of next year. The judge is not. So this case has been continued with a time waiver, the time waiver going up through September, but our next appearance in court, sans Michael Jackson, will be the end of May.
All right, Stan, the indictment has been all over the internet. Has the indictment that was in court, has it been in some way changed for public dissemination? I mean, did the judge seal part of the indictment?
The judge sealed most of the indictment. For example, as you mentioned, as has been mentioned, there's a conspiracy charge. There are 28 overt acts allegedly involving the conspiracy, which is required. A single overt act would do, but they allegedly have 28 of them. We do not know what those 28 are. The 28 are not listed for public consumption. We do not have really the names of any of the parties. We barely have dates. There's very, very little in the bare bones indictment that we've been given compared to what exists in the true indictment.
All right, Linda, a quick question to you. Family members of Michael Jackson, who was there?
Katherine Jackson, his mother was there, Joe Jackson, his father, his brothers Randy and Jackie were there. Randy has been a real force in organizing this new defense with Tom Mesereau. He was there with Brian Oxman, who's been an advisor to him. And those were the family members. There were also quite a few friends in the audience.
All right, Lynn and Stan, if you could just stand by, let's bring in our legal panel, Defense Attorney Jeffrey Feiger in Detroit, Defense Attorney Janie Weintraub in Miami. Also with us is former San Francisco Assistant DA Jim Hammer, Defense Attorney Yale Galanter is in L.A., and Yale, of course, represents O.J. Simpson. Jeff, no speedy trial demands, surprised or not?
No, he wants to delay it as long as possible. He wants to get up to speed, but there's not going to be that much to do. Whatever information Garrigus and Braffman had, he's going to have, and he's going to get the transcripts of the grand jury almost immediately. This is not a very complicated case. He just doesn't want his client to have to stand trial right now, and I don't blame him.
Jim, why is part of the indictment sealed?
Well, obviously, it lays out the entire prosecution's case. That one of the beautiful things for prosecutors about a conspiracy count is you can literally lay out the whole story of what you alleged happened during the conspiracy.
But that's typically public.
It should be, but obviously there's a fear, I think, in this case that it would so poison the jury pool, laying out the theory and these kind of facts, they wouldn't be able to pick a jury. And the DA definitely wants to keep this case in Santa Maria. That's his best chance. There's one other thing blacked out of the indictment, Greta, which I think is the most interesting. There are named co-conspirators with Michael Jackson, who were not charged but could have been. And if you look at the blank in the indictment, it's not one name. It looks like 5 or 6 or 7 names could fit in that space. The DA has laid out 5 or 6 other people he alleges conspired with Michael Jackson. And the beauty for the prosecution of that is, come trial, if any of them testify, they're facing the possibility of themselves being charged with conspiracy. It's going to really hurt Jackson in the trial.
Jim,
how do you know they haven't been charged?
Because they'd be on the top of the indictment, and they are not. They have not been indicted by this grand jury.
We'll get to the conspiracy thing in a second. I just want a quick question of Janie. Janie, the new lawyer took a slap at Mark Garrigus, the celebrity lawyer business. What do you think about that?
I think he was just trying to, make his presence known by perhaps flattering the judge a little too much, for my opinion.
Yeah, but he
and
took a
perhaps
shot
flattering
across the
potential
bow.
jurors.
But he took a shot across the bow at Mark Garrigus. It was gratuitous.
Yes,
he didn't need to do that.
No, he didn't. I think he did that for Michael Jackson. That's what I think.
Your thought about that? He flatters the judge. He says nice things about the community because that's where he's going to be picking the jury, and then he takes a shot at Mark Garrigus.
Greta, I thought the comments both of Michael and Tom Mesereau today were entirely appropriate. I think what Mesereau was trying to get across was this is not going to be business as usual. It's not going to be what Braffman and Garagos had done. I'm in control. I'm in control of the client. You could see the client's dress. You could see the client's demeanor. You could see that Michael's a lot more subdued. There are no Nation of Islam people here. I am in control, and we are going to litigate this case in the courtroom where it should be litigated, as opposed to in the media. And I thought the comments were entirely appropriate.
Unless, of course, Michael Jackson got sort of smart and realized that the last thing didn't go over very well, and maybe ought to dress down and actually be on time for court. But panel, stand by. Up next, a dramatic new count against Michael Jackson that could carry a severe punishment. What is his defense up against? And later, a Florida air and sea show ends in tragedy. Hear from eyewitnesses who watched in horror as a pilot plunged to his death.
Always treat people the way you like to be treated. Good rule for a financial company. AG Edwards.
You're IT guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta help me. My computer has a virus. I've got to email a presentation or I'm dead. It's for a board meeting. Maybe you just rip out the hard drive.
Oh, no. Just press the blue button and follow along.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it?
That's it. That easy.
That's it.
You ever tried decaf?
Stress-free wireless, only on a ThinkPad with Intel Centrino mobile technology.
This year, he'll spend 32 hours trimming bushes, 61 hours mowing the lawn, 52 hours watering flowers. But he won't have to refinish his deck for another 4 years. Behr Premium Weatherproofing Wood Sealer and Finish with silicone. 4-year protection against rain, sun, wind, and snow, guaranteed. Behr. Get it right every time.
Yo, yes, you're excited. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Beneful. You've never seen anything like it before. It has wholesome grains, real beef, even carrots and peas. So there's carbohydrates for energy and protein for those serious muscles. And you even get some vegetables. So happy. Love it so much you only think you're getting spoiled. Yes, you do. But it's good for you, too.
Healthful, flavorful, Beneful. Beneful brand by Purina.
What are you doing? I just closed my home equity loan with Ditech.com. I don't need these anymore.
Consolidate debts or pay off credit cards with a home equity loan from Ditech.com. Call 1-800-DITECH-1.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Derry Alexander. The head of CENTCOM is urging Muslim countries to send troops to Iraq. U.S. General John Abizaid says we have enough American troops over there, but countries like Morocco, Pakistan, and Tunisia could be helpful to the country's stabilization. Abizaid also says the key to progress is getting more Iraqis involved in defending their country. Vice President Dick Cheney raising money for the president's re-election campaign. Cheney told a crowd in Wisconsin today, the most important thing for the Bush administration is to protect America's safety. Earlier this week, Cheney spoke at Westminster College in Missouri, where Democratic presidential candidate John Kerry appeared today. Kerry calling for UN and NATO assistance in Iraq. A former Nazi could be soon deported. A federal appeals court is upholding the government's decision to strip 84-year-old John Demjanjuk of his U.S. citizenship. The court says the government proved that he worked in a concentration camp. Demjanjuk is accused of lying to get into the U.S. under the 1948 Displaced Persons Act. And a group following the JonBenet Ramsey case wants Colorado's governor to appoint a special prosecutor. Forums for Justice has gathered 1,400 signatures in an online petition. JonBenet was found murdered in her home in 1996. More headlines in a half hour. On the Record continues.
Tonight, grand jurors have upped the ante against Michael Jackson by adding a count that could be costly: conspiracy. We're back with Linda Deutsch and Stan Goldman outside the courthouse in Santa Maria, and our legal panel is also with us. Linda, to what extent is Tom Sneddon, the DA, visible in this case? Was he in court today handling the arraignment for the state of California?
He was in court. He also has been pretty subdued. He doesn't speak that much in the courtroom, but he is there. And by filing this conspiracy case, he has shown his hand, so to speak. He has shown what he wants to do with this case. We, of course, have not seen all of it because the indictment is partially sealed. And amazingly enough, this case, as public as it is being struck with so many secrecy orders that this may wind up being a big First Amendment case.
Stan, by upping the ante, and I realize we have not seen the entire indictment, as Linda just noted. Do you have any idea what his exposure, if convicted of everything, hypothetically hasn't had his trial, but what's he facing?
Well, I did some quick math when I was sitting in the courtroom, so I could be off, but I calculated without the conspiracy charge, he's looking at a potential of 53 years, and with it 57. So I don't really think the ante is up too much in terms of punishment. What the ante is upped in is expanding the scope of this case, expanding parties to this case, and potentially expanding the admissibility of all sorts of evidence. Because as you know, once you submit a charge of conspiracy, all sorts of potential hearsay becomes admissible that wouldn't have otherwise come into court.
Jeff, so now that he's been indicted, if you're a defense lawyer, what do you do? Where do you get started?
You just read the grand jury transcripts, and you get as much dirt as you can against the family and the possible civil case that is certain to follow this criminal case, and that being the motivation being money. And that's where you're going to center your defense. That's entirely where you're going to center your defense, and use the tapes of the young man saying that he likes Michael and they never did anything wrong. But that's the entire case, because it's his word against the child's, and you hope that you can get the child, because you don't want to put Michael Jackson on the stand.
Jim, where do you get started as the prosecutor? I realize you've been working, you've had to present this to the grand jury, but now, I mean, you still got to now put it on and prove it beyond reasonable doubt. So what's the prosecutor start to do?
Well, I think I'd really focus on this conspiracy count. And as Stan pointed out, it does open the door to a lot more evidence. And if you look at count one, the conspiracy count, it alleges that Michael Jackson himself, Greta, conspired again with this big blank list of people. I would try to turn one of those people, or one or more people. If you can get somebody under fear of themselves being charged with a conspiracy, I'm sorry?
I said, Jim, I agree with you. I think that the unindicted co-conspirator probably is cooperating already, as is typical with an unindicted co-conspirator. And I believe...
If they haven't yet, my first call as DA is to them and their lawyers and say, listen, your guy's facing 4 years in prison. Here's what the evidence is. Here's the chance to come forward. And I'll tell you, if the prosecutor can get one or two or three of those people to say Michael Jackson himself engaged in this conspiracy to abduct the child, to move him, and to try to cover up these crimes, that would be absolutely devastating evidence at trial and would increase the odds of conviction on the actual child molestation counts, Greta.
Yeah, this is really a simple case, isn't it? But for the fact it's Michael Jackson, I mean, these are routine cases, unfortunately, we see in the system all the time.
It is beyond simple. From the defense point of view, you're focusing in on the credibility of the complaining witness's prior inconsistent statements saying to DCF, other police officers, and on tape that nothing occurred. You're focusing in on the mother. From the prosecution's point of view, you're going to focus in on the eccentric, weird, bizarre behavior of Michael Jackson. Jim and Janie are both absolutely correct. You're going to focus in on this conspiracy charge. If they can prove that Michael had some hand in restricting the freedom of movement from this complaining witness, Michael's in for a really tough road. The key issue, though, just one other thing I wanted to point out is whether or not the conspiracy... Hold on, Janie. Whether or not the conspiracy comes from the complaining witness.
That's correct.
It's Janie who's got to call stops and get these breaks. Linda, Stan, thank you very much for joining us. And the rest of the panel stand by. And up next, a stunning verdict in the Jason Williams case. Is the former NBA star out of the woods just yet? Dr. Bodden saw the victim's autopsy and joins us next.
On the Record is brought to you by genuine Ford and Lincoln Mercury parts and service, only at your dealership.
You depend on your car for so much, so why not depend on the people who know it best?
to keep it running stronger, performing better, to keep it genuine. With genuine Ford and Lincoln Mercury parts and service. Our factory-trained technicians know exactly what your car needs and when, all at a price you'll like. Right now, when you buy 3 tires, you get the 4th one free. Keep it genuine. Only at Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealerships. Genuine parts, genuine service, genuine peace of mind.
There comes a time when you're no longer running to meetings, sprinting through airports, or dashing out the door early each morning. But you'll never stop chasing success. Whatever course retirement takes, Lincoln is there. To protect and enjoy more of life's reward, call your financial advisor or 1-877-ASK-LINCOLN.
Dear Pa, there seems no end to this blazing heat.
To stay cool, you only need one thing. Afternoon. A Bryant air conditioning system with Puron refrigerant. And your Bryant dealer will get it to you. Whatever it takes.
Did I miss anything?
Nah, not really. For a limited time, take advantage of special deals worth up to $1,000 on a high-efficiency system from Bryant. Just call Bryant and they'll get it to you, whatever it takes.
If you wanted to create the ideal health drink, you'd want lots of vitamins, like the vitamin C you find in rutabagas. And thiamine, can't beat liver. And for vitamin B6, Brussels sprouts. Plus minerals like potassium and magnesium. Or you could just drink a glass of Florida orange juice.
Full of nutrients and antioxidants that may help fight heart disease. Drink Florida orange juice every day.
Count the minutes, count the hours, and count the savings during Levitt's 24-hour sale. Friday and Saturday, 10 to 10. Pay nothing till 2006. No interest till 2006. No monthly payments till 2006. No payments at all until 2006. And throughout the store, save up to $590 with Levitt's Rooms for Less. We'll even deliver in just 1 week. The clock is ticking, so get to Levitt's 24-hour sale. Today and tomorrow, 10 to 10.
In May, Comcast has the hit movies you want with On Demand. Mike Myers stars in the hilarious comedy Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat. Julia Roberts inspires her students in the touching drama Mona Lisa Smile. Steve Martin's family is huge with laughs in the hit comedy Cheaper by the Dozen. And Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear star in the Farley Brothers comedy Stuck on You. Hit the menu button and choose On Demand to order in a great movie tonight.
Tonight, a stunning verdict in the Jason Williams trial. The former NBA star has been found not guilty of aggravated manslaughter in the shooting death of his limo driver, but he was found guilty of trying to make the shooting look like a suicide. The jury could not agree on the reckless manslaughter charge. What does this mean for Williams? Forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden testified for the defense. Hello, Dr. Baden. And he joins us from New York. And our legal panel is also standing by. Dr. Baden, you testified for the defense. You looked at the autopsy. What was the opinion that you gave in the trial?
Well, the opinion had to do with the gunshot trajectory. The initial theory of the prosecutor was that the muzzle of the shotgun was almost touching Mr. Christoffi at the time it was discharged. And in reevaluating the autopsy findings and the clothing and the photographs, it became apparent that the muzzle was about 30 inches away, which was consistent with what Jason Williams had said. The other part of it was the trajectory of the shotgun pellets. A number of the witnesses gave differing opinions as to how the shooting occurred, some incriminating Jason and some that were consistent with an accident. And the nature of the trajectory and how it went from the right chest upwards was consistent with those who said that he discharged the weapon when it was below his Jason Williams' waist in order to make that trajectory, and not the way others had said that it was a deliberate discharge, holding it at shoulder length and shooting at him. And I think that the trajectory of bullets, the distance of the weapon is always an issue in any kind of gunshot death.
You know, Janie, I mean, in many ways, I realize that someone died in this case and no one died in the Martha Stewart case, but the underlying, I mean, the jury here found that he didn't commit the crime he was charged with, at least the aggravated manslaughter, but they lied and covered up. Martha Stewart didn't have insider trading, but lied and covered up. What's your thought on that?
You know, it's funny because I made some notes, and my notes were about Martha Stewart. It's the same exact premise. I think they panicked. I think they both panicked. You know, not being charged with the underlying, you know, crime of the homicide or the manslaughter. What he did was, in a panic, in a just nervous panic, he just acted guilty. In other words, he did things that made it seem like he was guilty when he really wasn't, because he was so scared. I think clients do that. I think Martha Stewart did that in her own case.
Jeff, you're the judge on this case. He was facing under the indictment of about 30 years. Now he's facing 13, up to 13. What would you do with this case if you're a judge?
Well, in this case, the charges that he was convicted of have a presumption of probation, excuse me. And it's very likely, although the judge could give him up to a year in the county jail, on those charges alone, he's likely to get probation. The problem is I doubt he'll be sentenced until the prosecutor makes a decision whether to retry him on the reckless manslaughter.
But if you're the judge,
a hung jury.
If you're the judge, what do you do in this case?
Well, if I'm the judge and I'm sitting there and I really believe that he got off, I'd probably give him the year in jail, which is the maximum. If I thought he got off when he didn't deserve to, if I thought that there was a legitimate question, as Michael said, then I might give him the probation, which the law calls for.
Greta?
Jim, if you're the prosecutor in this case, do you go back on the case that they hung on possession, or they hung on the reckless manslaughter?
Right.
Do you go back and retry that?
I'd look at two things, and you know, this happens sometimes in cases. I talk to the jurors, and actually, hopefully some of them will talk to you and tell you what they thought was strong about the case and what wasn't strong. And I look at what the hang was. I'd really like to know, did it hang 8-4 in favor of guilt, or was it 8-4 in favor of not guilty? If it was leaning towards
not guilty.
Jim, didn't you say the other night you tell jurors not to talk?
That answers, I tell them not to talk to defense attorneys. That's my recommendation. But I don't tell them not to. I say it can only hurt the verdict. In this case, though, it would really inform the prosecution to know what was strong about the case, what wasn't. If it was a weak case or they thought it was, I probably would not retry it on an 8-4 hang.
All right, Dr. Bond, Janie, gentlemen, thank you all. I'm sorry we're out of time on this. Up next, at this moment, there's an ongoing manhunt for a mother threatening to kill her 18-month-old daughter. Where are they? Police are here with a late-breaking update. And later, a Canadian aid worker brutally tortured in Iraq reveals his terrifying tale. He was there helping children, but wait till you hear who Iraqi guerrillas thought he was.
Factor this, did CBS News put American lives in jeopardy by broadcasting pictures of U.S. soldiers torturing Iraqis? The debate on the next Factor.
Saturday on Heartland with John Kasich. They're failing math, social studies, science, and English. They're not students, they're teachers. A shocking new report says many teachers are flunking their certification tests, and some schools are trying to cover it up. Is your child's school one of them?
Don't miss Heartland, Saturday night at 8.
Free. I fell for it. Sign my family up for a nationwide wireless plan with free mobile-to-mobile calling. Only the mobile-to-mobile calling area was smaller. And if I wasn't in network, not free.
With Singular's Family Talk, you really can call any Singular customer for free, no matter where they or you are. Add a line for $9.99. Hurry, offer ends June 20th.
I call it my it's free, really plan.
Singular Nation Family Talk. Another reason Singular fits you best.
What is inspiration? Can it be stylish at any speed? Yes. Can it make a small car exciting? For 4? Why not? Can inspiration go well beyond the SUV? Yes. Or make 2 rows of seats completely disappear? Naturally. Can a car be beautiful and capable in all seasons? Yes. Can a car inspire freedom? Even standing still? And is it possible to get all this inspiration without having to pay more? Chrysler. Inspiration comes standard.
I've been meaning to talk to you about a college savings plan for Ryan.
Well, the way the cost of tuition is heading, I'm not surprised.
There are times in life when you could really use expert financial advice. For more than 145 years, Northwestern Mutual and its products have quietly earned a most enviable reputation.
David, this is Steve, my Northwestern Mutual representative.
Oh, I've been wanting to talk to you guys.
Isn't it time you had a quiet conversation of your own? Northwestern Mutual Financial Network. It's time for a quiet conversation.
Tonight, Louisiana police need your help in the search for a missing 14-year-old. Kristen O'Connor has a medical condition and could be in serious danger if she's not found soon. Joining us by phone is Sheriff Beth Lundy of the Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office. Welcome, Sheriff, and tell us what's the latest on Kristen's disappearance?
Well, on Thursday at approximately 2:15 p.m., Kristen walked out of an area middle school detention room where she was being disciplined for a school violation, and she's been missing since that time. But she has made telephone contact with a white 13-year-old juvenile subject last night at approximately 8:30 p.m. Our concern is that she was asking for a ride to an undisclosed location, and through our investigative process, we subpoenaed records and have obtained some telephone records from this juvenile's residence. He was not aware that she was missing at the time the call was placed, and we're not certain at this time if she utilized a cell phone or a public phone. But she did state that she was possibly attempting to visit with a natural parent who resides in a city within a 30-mile radius of Calcasieu Parish here near Lake Charles, Louisiana. That city is located in another jurisdiction, which, of course, is a concern in that we're along the I-10 corridor here in Calcasieu Parish, and if she attempted to do so, she may have been seen trying to obtain a ride in reaching this destination, and someone may have seen her, or she may have stopped and asked for their assistance.
How serious is her medical condition? I mean, how much, obviously you want to she's a young kid, you want to get her home to a safe place, but I mean, how serious is the medical condition, and what's the time frame?
Well, you have a 14-year-old who has been diagnosed medically with several disorders that lends itself to taking several medications of which she does not have and are not in her possession, and her condition could deteriorate with time. She probably will become disoriented, experience possible seizures, and some form of dementia. So it's very imperative that if anyone has seen her, that they contact the Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office immediately.
And I assume that all her classmates who she might call have been notified that if you hear from her, because this sounds like just a runaway at this point, right?
It's possibly, but Greg, let me say this. Anytime a child is missing, regardless of the circumstances or the cause, law enforcement and school officials have a duty to try to locate them in the most expedient manner possible. And again, we're doing everything we can to make sure that takes place here in Calcasieu Parish.
All right, Sheriff. Well, we put up on the board or picture on the TV screen her picture, a phone number to call in case anyone has any information at all. Sheriff, good luck. I hope you find her. I hope you find her tonight.
Thank you very much, and always good news when a child is found.
Indeed. Now to California, where a desperate search is underway for a kidnapped baby believed to be in grave danger tonight. 18-month-old Esmeralda Venegas has been abducted by her mother, who recently lost custody of the baby. Joined us by phone is Sergeant Dave Hatfield of the Cathedral City Police Department. Sergeant, what's the latest on this investigation looking for this mother who has kidnapped her child?
Well, the latest concerning this investigation involves the continued use of the state Amber Alert system in attempting to develop information that will lead us to the location and the whereabouts of this mother and her baby.
Sergeant, she is the natural mother. She has lost custody. Why is it thought tonight that she might harm that child?
Well, the mother has been in telephonic contact with the father, the natural father, and during that conversation, the father informed the mother that the police were investigating the disappearance of the baby, and it was at that time that she made a threat that if the police were not removed from the investigation, that she would harm herself and the baby.
Do you know, Sergeant, it was suspected last time we talked about this that she might be headed to Mexico. Is that still your suspicion tonight?
It's a stronger suspicion. However, we don't have anything confirmed at this point. There are some family members that do live in Mexico City and Tijuana, and we're attempting to locate those family members so that we can ask them questions.
Any transportation? So we should be looking for any cars? We know we put a picture up on the screen. What about how she getting around?
Well, the last report was that she was in a 1998 red Jeep Grand Cherokee with a California license plate of 4CUX380. Additional information is that she might also have access to a 1987 Maxima four-door with an unknown color and a California license plate of 5FLB328.
And in terms of finances, money, does she have any to get around or to run very long?
We don't know exactly what her financial situation is, but in our investigation, she does not seem to be or have much access to any large amounts of currency. Our concern is that she is planning to stay away from her location for quite a while because she removed most of the baby's clothing and diaper from her residence prior to fleeing.
All right, Sergeant, well, we've put up information about this Amber Alert for this child as well. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Coming up, blindfolded, beaten, and burned in Iraq. A Canadian aid worker held hostage for 2 weeks takes us inside his nightmare encounter with guerrillas. But first, dramatic video of an air-sea show in Florida that came to a tragic end as horrified fans watch a pilot spiral out of control.
Tonight on Your World, startling pictures of alleged abuse of Iraqi prisoners at the hands of U.S. soldiers will gauge the fallout for our troops and throughout the Arab world. Can John Kerry learn a thing or two from Al Sharpton? Reverend Al is here with some advice. We'll also talk to a body language expert. And got milk? Better get it soon. Prices are about to go through the roof. Wall Street having a rough week. The major averages finishing in the red. That's tonight on Your World.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Derry Alexander. Marines give up some control in hopes of curbing violence in Fallujah. Iraqi forces are taking over some security patrols, but the coalition says Marines are not completely pulling out, but instead working with Iraqis. This comes just as a car bombing on the outskirts kills 2 Marines, bringing April's death toll to 136. Prosecutors rest their case in the trial of Oklahoma City bombing conspirator Terry Nichols. Nichols is facing state murder charges for the 1995 bombing that killed 168 people. He could face the death penalty. Defense lawyers begin their case next Thursday. Nichols is already serving a life sentence on federal charges. For the first time in 11 years, a severe storm is forcing New Orleans to cancel Jazz Fest events today. Raining along with thunder and lightning pounded the city, flooding its outlying neighborhoods. Activities including a golf tournament, crawfish festival, and concerts are expected to go on as scheduled tomorrow. And some commuters in California found themselves in the middle of a frustrating and potentially dangerous protest this morning. Look at that. Independent truckers parked 3 big rigs on Interstate 5 and left them there in protest of rising gas prices. Police quickly cleared the lines and the truckers were arrested. More headlines in 30 minutes. On the Record continues.
Up next on The Record, tragedy caught on tape. An air-sea show comes to a horrific ending as hundreds stand by in horror. We're going to take you to the scene. And later, an aid worker held hostage in Iraq and nearly beaten to death tells all.
2 lattes.
Watch this. Here you go.
Thank you.
You ready?
Yeah.
Your check card.
Check now. Is it there yet?
No, nothing.
No?
See your check card transactions instantly with secure online banking.
Oh,
There it is.
oh yeah, look at that. Yeah. Instant, huh? Weird. Link. Hey, you know what? Can you make it do that again and get me a brownie?
Yeah, okay.
Bank of America.
Yeah, thanks.
Higher standards.
The all-new Dodge Durango. With 5-star, the highest frontal crash test rating. And all-new power. All-new room. All-new ride. All-new interior. All-new capability. All-new capacity. 1 part power, 1 part comfort. The all-new Dodge Durango. 0% financing or $3,000 in combined cash allowances plus a great warranty gets you the best values in America.
Imagine you had a great idea and shared it with the world. To make it a better place. To make it cleaner and quieter, to make people more comfortable, businesses more successful, and connect the world like never before. Would an idea that great ever fly? It will, and like nothing else. Boeing.
From generation to generation, some things never change. At New York Life, it's our values. Financial strength, integrity, and humanity. Values rooted in our tradition as a mutual company, serving only the interests of our customers. Values that make New York Life the company you keep.
Tonight, tragedy in Florida. The pilot of this small plane was practicing for an air and sea show just hours ago when his stunt went horribly wrong. He lost control of the plane, spiraling towards the ocean, hitting the water with incredible force as eyewitnesses watched in horror.
Well, the pilot was doing a flat spin coming down from high up, and apparently his engine must have cut out, unknown, but he hit the water real hard at a flat spin.
It looked like it could have been part of the stunt, but at the end you realize that it wasn't part of the stunt when you seen all the rescue boats come chasing after him.
The pilot, 56-year-old Ian Groom, had just scaled back his performances to train pilots for the Department of Homeland Security. Our next guest survived a terrifying ordeal most of us cannot even imagine. He risked his life to help children in war-torn Iraq, only to find himself brutally beaten and tortured by Iraqi guerrillas. Canadian aid worker Fadi Fadel was held hostage for 10 days in Iraq and joins us tonight from Montreal. Welcome, Fadi.
Thank you.
Fadi, when did you first go over to Iraq?
I was there in mid-February. I was I went with the International Rescue Committee, a New York-based NGO, to work on reconstruction efforts, renovating schools, vaccination campaigns, and some psychosocial programming to remedy the effects of war.
And at what point were you taken captive?
I believe it was on the 6th of April. I just finished work. I went back to the residence, and I was about getting to bed when a gang of armed men stormed into the house, ransacked the house. They came upstairs to my bedroom. They asked me who I was. They asked for my passport, and then they put me in the company car. They blindfolded me and tied my hands behind my back.
Did they think you were someone else, or who did they think you were?
They knew I was a Canadian the minute they got me.
So there was never any question of your identity?
No.
Right. Where were you taken, if you know?
I have no idea. I was blindfolded, and my hands were tied behind my back, as I said. We drove for about 10-15 minutes, very fast. I got into some kind of a house, I believe. I was put into a corner. I was blindfolded. My hands were tied at all times. For the first 48 hours, they took turns on, they beat me with a garden hose, they burnt me with cigarettes, and they accused me of being an Israeli spy. Something I denied consistently. I said I'm a Canadian aid worker. I'm here to work with the children. I have the clearance from the clergy and the community leaders, and they know who I am. They know what I am here for, and I have the blessings. So I was quite surprised at the treatment I got.
How long were you actually captive?
I was actually captive for about 11 days in total, yeah.
And in terms of the 11 days, was the treatment like that first night you just described, was that consistent during the 11 days?
The first 48 hours were quite harsh. They were physical with me, but they made it clear to each other, as I understood Arabic. They did make it clear that they don't want any, to draw blood out to break my bones. They just wanted to terrorize me and force me to admit that I'm an Israeli spy.
Wait, in terms of the group, do you know who took you captive? I mean, what group it was, or anything about them?
Up till now, I have no idea.
None whatsoever. You know, if they were, people who were Sunni, Shiites, people who were part of Saddam's inner circle, nothing at all. You have no idea.
No idea. I know that I was released to the army of Hannity, which is the followers of Muqtada al-Sadr, after he issued a fatwa. But all this, I'm not really clear of the people who kidnapped me or released me. These are all, I think you should address the Canadian government and the other people who had a hand in releasing me.
In the 11 days, did you think that there would ever come a time that you thought you'd even get out, or did you think that this was the end for you?
Well, there was a couple of times that I thought it was the end for me. When they wanted me to admit I'm an Israeli spy, and I kept on refusing. They had a couple of guys with machine guns behind the camera, and I thought that was it. There was another time when they moved me to a different location. They were trying to terrorize me and get me to admit that I'm an Israeli spy. It was quite harsh. But after the first, there was the first 2 days, they were quite harsh. And then on the 6th day, there was some interrogation. It was quite terrorizing. I was very afraid. But then after that, the treatment, my treatment improved dramatically, something that I was surprised to encounter. But also, everything that is news, radio and stuff just disappeared from sort of the sounds that I used to hear.
And of course, you're very lucky you were ultimately released. Fadi, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
Up next, an American soldier just back from Iraq reacts to controversial photos aired by CBS. Are Iraqi prisoners being mistreated? And who is to blame?
This program is brought to you by Terminix. Termite problems? Call 1-800-TERMINIX.
It's termite season. Terminix them with our exclusive problem-solved guarantee. 1-800-TERMINIX.
A is for after-tax income, annual percentage yield, asset allocation. G is for get yourself a knowledgeable financial consultant who can help you sort things out. AG Edwards.
Before you know it, I'll be walking down the aisle. Someday soon, I'll be away at college. Right before your eyes, I'll take my kids to the same places you took me. Don't wait.
They grow up fast. Enjoy it while you can. The 8-passenger Sequoia.
Count the minutes, count the hours, and count the savings during Levitt's 24-hour sale. Friday and Saturday, 10 to 10. Pay nothing till 2006. No interest till 2006. No monthly payments till 2006. No payments at all until 2006. And throughout the store, save up to $590 with Levitt's Rooms for Less. We'll even deliver in just 1 week. The clock is ticking, so get to Levitt's 24-hour sale. Today and tomorrow, 10 to 10.
Tonight on an all-new Third Watch, a mother's dark secret.
Would you want a daughter with this face?
A mystery only the father can solve.
I did not cause those injuries.
Kate Jackson and Henry Winkler in an unforgettable all-new Third Watch, NBC Tonight.
Tonight, ever dreamed of taking an idea and turning it into a multi-million-dollar business? Find out what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Wealth of knowledge. A Unit 8 in-depth report. Tonight at 11 on News Channel 8, where the news comes first.
Why does the Taxpayers Association of Oregon endorse Golia Mary for Congress? Golia Mary helped lead the fight to defeat the $1.1 billion tax increase. And Golia Mary's economic plan will reduce taxes on families, reprioritize spending, and revitalize Oregon's economy. Golia Mary, endorsed by the Taxpayers Association of Oregon, because they trust her, and so can you.
I'm Golia Mary, and I authorize this message.
Hey, Fix.
Right here.
See this car? I may use one. Red.
Got it.
Finding the right car is hard.
Red.
But VHIX.com makes it easy.
Would you call this red?
I'd call it burgundy.
Searching hundreds of dealer inventories.
I'd call it burgundy. Right, burgundy's not red.
And presenting the results.
Ta-da!
Great. Here.
At no cost to you. VHIX.com, roadmap to the automotive world.
Deep disgust that
those prisoners were treated the way they were treated. Their treatment does not reflect the nature of the American people. That's not the way we do things in America. And so I didn't like it one bit. But I also want to remind people that those few people who did that do not reflect the nature of the men and women we sent overseas.
President Bush reacting to photos of Iraqi prisoners allegedly being mistreated by U.S. troops. These photos have led to criminal charges against 6 American soldiers. Let's get reaction from Army Reservist Staff Sergeant Angel Rivera, who just returned from Iraq. He joins us in New York. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. How you doing, Greta?
Very well. I suspect those pictures of some troops possibly mistreating Iraqi prisoners is an isolated event. Did you ever see anything like that while you were over in Iraq?
Never.
Never at all?
Never at all.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about your time in Iraq. How many months were you there?
I was there 12 months.
When did you go over?
I got called up to active duty February 3rd of 2003, and I went over in beginning of April.
Now, this wasn't the first time you've been called into service as a reservist, is it?
No, I was called up for a Kosovo mission in 2001.
What did you think when you got to Iraq? What were your thoughts when you looked around?
Well, it's totally a different world. I mean, it's nothing that it caught me off guard. I mean, the people weren't hostile towards me at the beginning or towards the end. It's a world. It's like going back in time. It's like going back in about 200 years. I mean, you leave the city of Kirkuk or Sulaymaniyah, and you go into the small villages. It's like it's strange to see that people still live in mud huts. I mean, it's something that I wasn't expecting. I thought Iraq would be a lot more modern and a lot more developed.
Sergeant, you're a hero. You got a Bronze Star. Do you want to tell us why you're awarded the Bronze Star, or don't you want to talk about that?
No, I'd rather not talk about that. I don't think that's too important.
I figured, but I thought I at least ought to let the viewers know that you were awarded a Bronze Star.
Yes, thank you.
Did you spend most of your time in Kirkuk?
I spent about 3 months in Kirkuk. Then I spent some time in Sulaymaniyah. But as a civil affairs soldier, we traveled the country quite often. I saw a lot of the country.
How much of a hardship was it on your family? You got a family back here.
I think they had it harder than I did. I mean, I knew what I was up against. I knew what I was doing every day. If I was in danger or if I wasn't. They didn't. All they had was all they can rely on was the media. And sometimes I didn't have a chance to call home, and it was hard on my family.
All right, Sergeant, stand by for just 1 second. We'll take a quick break. And up next, uproar over Nightline's decision to air the names of more than 500 American soldiers killed in Iraq, and a shocking turn of events in the case of Andrea Yates. We're going to bring you the new details next.
Will you have college tuition taken care of here or here? Mutual funds from the Hartford, for people who are always thinking ahead. Ask your advisor.
In a world where business can't make a move without a network, wouldn't it be great to have a network that can actually move your business? Because the right networking partner can do more than just move data. It can move people, products, and entire industries forward. Can your network do this? It can if it's designed by the world's networking company, AT&T.
supply the imagination. We'll supply everything else. It's True Value's Add Some Life to Your Home sale. Get just what you need, including the advice. True Value, help is just around the corner.
What would you rather have, a car or a cleaner environment?
I can't imagine being without my car. Of course, I'd rather have a clean environment, but I think that compromise is very hard to make where we are.
Factor this, did CBS News put American lives in jeopardy by broadcasting pictures of U.S. soldiers torturing Iraqis? The debate on the next Factor.
This weekend, as the violence and bloodshed in Iraq escalate, what's the coalition's next step? Plus, the political fallout as Bush and Cheney met with the 9/11 Commission.
The political heavy hitters here on Fox News Sunday. I'm Chris Wallace.
Now, Chris Wallace hosts Fox News Sunday. Check your local listings.
Tonight, a firestorm of controversy over Ted Koppel's decision to read the names of more than 500 American soldiers killed in Iraq. ABC says Nightline is paying tribute. Others say Nightline is playing politics. For those soldiers still fighting in Iraq tonight, there's word many of them are getting stuck with sky-high cell phone bills when calling home. We're back with Army Reservist Staff Sergeant Angel Rivera, who spent 14 months in Iraq. Sergeant, what surprises you the most as you watch the media coverage here in the United States of Iraq? Do we get it right?
No, I don't think you get it right. I like Fox News, but the other stations, I mean, they keep comparing Iraq to Vietnam War. I mean, I think it's totally different. I think there's some people that have wishful thinking, and would hope that it turned into a Vietnam, but it's a totally different war. We're fighting a war against terrorism. We were attacked in 9/11. I remember 9/11 very, very clearly. I remember being scared, going home, and making sure my kids were out of school. And I don't want to live like that. And our way of life, our country is being threatened. And
Sergeant, I mean, did you get the sense that the Iraqis wanted us there, or did some? I mean, we've seen this month a number of troop deaths, but I mean, do you have the sense that they want our help?
Of course. I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, the regime they were living under, I mean, it was a terrible regime. I mean, I saw mass graves. I mean, why isn't the media showing the mass graves? Or how the people were treated? I mean, I went into the city of Kirkuk, and before we got there, they had no satellites. I mean, by the second week, we were in country, in the city of Kirkuk. There were satellites popping up all over the place. There were business, people were buying appliances. People were on the internet. You know, they actually had internet cafes. I mean, opening up in Kirkuk. I mean, why would anybody not welcome that? I mean,
so why is there more violence this month? Any idea?
I don't have. I mean, I can take a good guess. I mean, the violence. I mean, in Fallujah. I mean, when you corner. I mean, I think people are calling them insurgents. Okay, they're insurgents. I think they're terrorists. They've been cornered in Fallujah, and that's why.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Unfortunately, the worst thing about TV is that we run out of time.
Okay.
Sergeant, thank you, and congratulations on getting your bronze.
Thank you.
We have an update tonight on a Texas mother, Andrea Yates, who was found guilty in March 2002 of drowning her children in a bathtub. Yates' attorney appealed the conviction today in a challenge to the Texas insanity law. The appeal also detailed what defense attorneys said were 19 errors made during the trial. The Harris County District Attorney's Office has 30 days in which to respond. We're going to keep you updated on this case. Thank you for being with us tonight. Please send your comments down the record at foxnews.com. Be sure to check out our daily blog at GretaWire.com. It'll give you an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at this show. Plus, log on to GretaPoll.com and get your opinion on the record. We want to hear what you have to say. I'll see you all again on Monday. Until then, keep it right here in America's Newsroom, Fox News Channel. Good night.
The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight. Did CBS News put Americans in jeopardy by broadcasting pictures of U.S. soldiers torturing Iraqi prisoners? Is ABC News undermining the war on terror by broadcasting pictures of U.S. soldiers killed in Iraq? At least one media company says yes. Should America use even more power in Iraq? One global analyst says yes. And more serious charges are leveled against Michael Jackson. Caution, you're about to enter a no-spin zone. In fact, it begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Putting Americans in danger by reporting controversial stories. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. As you may know, CBS News ran pictures of Iraqi prisoners being tortured by American soldiers. Big story. Press had to report it. But by using those graphic images of the torture, CBS has given the enemies of America a powerful weapon, and that's disturbing. We are not going to use the pictures tonight, but we will tell you they portray naked Iraqis in humiliating positions, with some soldiers posing immaturely, some say sadistically, beside them. Now, 17 U.S. soldiers are in big trouble over this, and we believe most of them will be harshly punished. But you'd never know that by monitoring many of the dispatches from the foreign press. Al Jazeera played the story big, pointing out the atrocities, but somehow failing to mention that arrests have been made. We expect that kind of reporting from that network, which is so hateful towards the USA. However, the same kind of thing is going on in the so-called friendly countries. London's Daily Mail ran this headline: tortured, abused, and humiliated. Shocking pictures show how soldiers treated Iraqi prisoners in Saddam's jail. The Mail went on to say that now the Americans are in charge and the torture of Saddam's regime can